Joel and his brother Tommy probably were the type of people that like went in communities and like kidnapped people or like found stragglers and like murdered them and stole all their gear just for survival.
Do you think Joel was justified in saving Ellie at the end?
No.
Welcome back, guys, to the Shade Cinema podcast. I'm Chris, and these are my wonderful friends. This is Mr. Alex, Mr. Saro, Mr. Panos, and Mr. Luca. Mr. Saro and Mr. Panos have decided to go full emo on us.
It was St. Patrick's yesterday, so
They're a little tired.
Today we're going to be discussing The Last of Us. And the show ended, what was it, last week at the time of this recording?
Last Sunday.
Last Sunday at the time of this recording. So by this point, like almost 2 weeks ago, by the time of the upload. So before we start, of course, I always have to ask, like the video and subscribe to the channel. So like the video, subscribe to the channel.
Ballsy.
And let's move on with the show. So my first question is, the world kind of goes to shit at the beginning of the show, right? They kind of do it differently than in the game. In the game, they just start off with the apocalypse happening, but in the show, they do like the whole, the sciencey guy, and the origin
Before the fame.
before they were famous. Curtis.
Before and after, where are they now?
The villain origin story of this virus.
Exactly. So,
Fungus.
You're the villain, Saro.
Oh, thank you.
so then after the world goes to shit, Fedra, which is like this government agency, starts to take over and establish these quarantine zones, and they start kind of going tyrannical with their whole situation. And do you think that them being tyrannical and them being kind of cracking down on certain things, on rights and stuff, was that a justifiable thing for them to do? Was it justifiable for Fedra to be in full control?
Well, you asked two different questions now, because you asked if it's justified if they take full control. Like obviously,
was it justified?
The military has to take a big presence because to defend, like survival. But then the rights thing, no, definitely not, right? Like you.
But isn't there always like a give and take?
Yeah.
But so in your opinion, in the grand scheme of things, was it the right thing for them to do?
Like the quarantine zones, yes, but the fact that they were like obliterating people because they wanted to stop the spread, but like it still happened, like people still died and the world still went to shit, So like all those bombings, like dropping grenades and bombs like in main cities just to
slow the spread,
like it's fucked.
Yeah, I get what you mean. What about you, Saro?
Well, at one point, Ellie says that, in response to someone else saying that they ain't shit, she says something along the lines of they are the only thing that's keeping things together.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, there's extremes, right? If you want to be the main force that's keeping things together, don't go around like, I don't know, what's the buzzwords here that we can't use?
Don't go around and
graping people.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, okay, sure. Don't go around graping people. Don't go around torturing people just for the hell of it. Yeah, I don't know.
But at the same time, like Ellie, she's in a different category because she was born in that. She didn't know the world before. So for her, Fedra was always ordering like how they were the ones who would keep the
they're basically
clickers and infected away, right? So.
But she didn't know what. Yeah. But I get what you mean. Yeah.
They're kind of like a more militarized version of the Blue Helmets. They're there to appear to keep the peace, but they don't really do jack.
You mean
shit.
like the UN peacekeepers?
Yeah, the peacekeepers. They don't do jack shit. So.
Was Fedra being in full control a justifiable act?
Well, what do you mean by full control? Because I don't think it's necessarily bad if you have like a military organization like leading per se, right? Because they're not just acting as the military branch of blah blah blah, like they run the show, right?
Yeah,
that's not intrinsically bad in a situation like this where all it takes is one person to fuck up and then all of a sudden your quarantine zone goes to shit with something like this. But I mean, what are the examples of like them having complete control, like let's say being a negative, like barring the fact that like, oh, they they handle like rations or stuff like that. Because if you look at the inside, like it looks desolate on the inside of the city or like on the inside of the zones, but there's no question that like no infected is getting through there.
Yeah, but
You know?
like he means like they weren't like.
But was it
they weren't letting people in. They were controlling who was leaving. They were killing anybody who like
The second they were infected.
Yeah, see,
like, there's
here's
no
where I would draw the
mercy,
line: is don't police the outside. So like that Fedra guy who caught like Joel, Tess, and Ellie, and then Joel just went sicko mode on his face. Like why the fuck? Like why should that guy that far out of the city care?
because the
That's-
thing is they
that's
could
the
come back
issue.
infected. That's the thing. They want to control that, right? So
Right, but if
if
you have a
you let
screening
just
process
people-
at the gates, regardless, right? If you have a screening process to make sure whether people are infected or not at the gates anyway, it's like, why are you going
Okay,
all like
yeah, you're right.
fascist mode over like outside the borders of
because
your quarantine
isn't
zone?
it technically still under their jurisdiction?
yeah,
Well,
like
it's
you said, you can't leave. So if they catch you outside, it's like why the fuck
Catch
you
me outside.
disobeying? You
How
know?
about that?
It's kind of like if you look at it, their screening part, like right outside their QZ, it would be like the last line of defense, I would say.
Okay, but is
Well,
it like
like-
once you're in the city, it's what? It's like it's a life sentence. You will never leave.
No, you're allowed to leave, but in certain moments
Well, which
they
is
say
it? You keep saying you're not allowed to leave, and then you're saying that they are
no,
allowed
but I'm
to
saying
leave.
But they
they're-
snuck out.
No,
like
no.
usually, it would probably need some form.
controlled.
They'll probably need some form of like papers and identification
Yeah,
in order
to-
to
Or a
leave.
level, a
Mm.
certain level of
Yeah.
qualification.
and
to it,
especially
so,
like
yeah.
not just that, but like when the fireflies would attack, they would be like, okay, like we don't want anybody leaving, but then people would still smuggle through like buildings and underground, like they'd leave. I mean it in that way, as in they would regulate when people are allowed to leave, when people aren't allowed to leave, you know. And even if, like you're saying, they're screening outside, like if they say like, okay, look, we don't want anybody leaving for the next like 10 days or whatever, and then they catch you outside, like they're okay, it's fine.
Yeah, see that kind of stuff. That's horse shit to me. Sorry, like yeah. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing for that, for like a military organization to be leading the charge as far as like the new world order. Not, I don't mean it in that like NWO sense, but like the world order presented after the cordyceps outbreak, because it's necessary for security. But yeah, obviously like they just go too far with it.
What about you, Luca?
I mean, listen, like, I think I agree and disagree with a bit of everything in the sense that, yes, they went too far in the sense they started, like, bombing the cities and stuff. Like, no care. Like, it was really just to stop it. They didn't really care who got hurt, who didn't. It was pretty much... But at the same time, like, what does bombing a city do? Let's say bombing buildings, you know, like, all that stuff. Like, you're not doing any good.
He's
You're
stopping the spread, like that's what he said.
What
Like that's
spread are you
so
stopping? You're-
like
you're-
you're killing more people.
You're shooting blind. You're just fucking, like...
No, they just
hitting
want to kill the
anything you can.
population, so like all those people don't get affected, and
Yeah.
there's
It's-
like let's say there's 10,000 infected and 5,000 infected.
But it's not going to
just
stop
no,
the
I know.
spread. It's
It
nothing-
just slows it down.
I'm
slows
with you
it
on
down.
this one though, that like going nuclear.
Yeah, it's
this
stupid.
is why there's no actual fear. Like nukes are the ultimate deterrent. So like now that you have like nukes kind of spread out across the world, even if not every country has their own, it's like there is no fear because everybody knows that going nuclear is like a mutually assured destruction kind of thing. Or
Yeah.
We all
or
die,
or if
no one dies.
yeah. Or if you do fire a nuke and somehow don't get one fired back at you, it's like who wants to rule over a graveyard in a wasteland? You know what I mean? So like
Yeah, but the whole
completely
point.
raising these places just for the purpose of wiping out the infected is kind
No,
of
it wasn't even wiping.
it's
They were
kinda
just trying
dumb.
to stop the spread. So they're like, look, if there's 1 million people in here, and if we nuke it, and then there's
Yeah.
less, at least there won't
that's
be that
called
many
wiping
infected.
that place off the map, you dingbat.
No, but not everybody dies.
No,
There's
but-
always going
but
to
in
be
the
still
sense-
people surviving.
Yeah, cockroaches maybe.
To answer Chris's kind of question, yes, it's somewhat a good thing they did take over because people tend to follow. Like most of the population are followers. They need to be told what to do because if not, they would kind of just sit at home, scared, lock the doors, and like just sit there. So they need a sense of
Audi, what?
they need a sense of following, and so without obviously Hydra, like probably
Hydra.
Sorry, fumbled there. No, but like without them, like I think most of the population would be dead, if
Yeah.
not all.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
I mean, like, there's worse.
So
right?
so what's the overall consensus here?
It's like Pano said, there should be a leadership of a army government taking the charge, but not the fact where they dictate like every single action that's.
Okay, so
Like you still need
but
a
how could
social
you-
contract established, like to maintain any amount of order where, like, people can find some semblance of happiness. It's a social contract that you're forming between you and your government. So you're giving them, like, a certain amount of responsibility over you, and in exchange, you trade like subservience in certain ways or agreeing not to.
I mean, I think
pursue certain
after
behaviors.
after years of it being like, you know, living in that infected world, I agree. Like, and that's what I think is wrong in the sense that, you know,
Yeah, it's how
20
long
years,
it took.
20 years down the road, they're still acting like it's like it just happened, you know. But I agree in the sense where I disagree is, let's say the infected started, you know, no, you can't start like being like, okay, let's write rules about like how.
Yeah,
it's-
no,
it's
obviously.
like,
Yeah,
fuck,
of
like,
course.
like we're putting shit down, like everyone's like locked up, everyone's like, you know what I mean, like.
But once you know what you're facing,
100%. There has to be a sense of,
Yeah.
of like more of a civilization instead of like all of them.
Like,
being-
It's all
like-
QZ zones. There's no
yeah.
civilization.
No,
It's
there
like
isn't.
what QZ zone you in, buddy?
yeah, I do
your
think though
mama
that the
stay.
fact that like there were still military shits like that is like it's probably why it doesn't get as dire as like the Walking Dead style kind of apocalypse where people are like
Do whatever the fuck they want.
I mean obviously people do, there's cannibals and shit in this show too, but like I think it's more what
There's cannibals in this show.
Shut the fuck up.
They ate that dad.
I'm hungover, man. That flew right over my head.
Daddy.
Daddy.
So I think okay. So the overall consensus is that
What do you think, Chris?
What do you think,
Yeah, what do
Chris?
you think, bro?
What do you think about that?
What do you mean by that?
so okay, so you can do the whole governing system, but you can do it in a way where you don't need to have a totalitarian regime. We saw this in the show Jackson, which was the town in the fucking mountains in the middle of nowhere, where they did this, where it was a relatively free state, town, whatever the fuck it's called,
Village. Yeah.
or a village, and they, it was much more, egalitarian, I guess is
Yeah,
the
people
word.
had like people had jobs or tasks. Like they would rotate who would go out to get supplies.
Yeah. So
It's
it
all
was
mutually agreed upon,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Exactly.
Exactly. Now there is obviously the thing involved here where it's, they're in the middle of nowhere. They're sort of out in the wilderness, where
they're behind
where-
mountains and shit.
yeah, where there's not a lot of the dead. There's also a lot of game. By game, I don't mean like
You mean food?
I mean like food. There's better ways of doing it, and even with Fedra, even if you say, let's say hypothetically, okay, well Fedra took this control, and they should relinquish it, but they're not going to relinquish it. The people who are in power love that power. They love the ability of being able to tell other people what to do.
Unlimited power.
Maybe it was disarming people. Maybe disarming people was the problem.
But even if
everybody, like, you know what I mean? Like, cause like, if they're all working with rifles and shit anyway, it's not like they have like, like drones and stuff like that. At least I haven't seen that at like I didn't notice anything like that, like aircraft or anything.
Well, because
that
here's the
degree.
thing: because a lot of people ate cordyceps or unknowingly, right through the flour that they ate.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, a lot of people who were probably capable of flying planes or whatever weren't able to. And even if they could, why would you try to fly a jet that can consume so much fuel when in reality you can just drive a car that'll consume a lot less fuel and you
At
can
the same
preserve
time,
it and then drive.
Where are you flying to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
There's
where
nowhere
you're
to
landing.
fly.
Where are you flying to? Like,
Hawaii.
So you remove that. So you remove that advantage. Let's say from like if it just devolves to like regular warfare or just like like boots on the ground kind of thing. If everybody kind of kept their guns and shit, because it's America, right? I really doubt. Like in principle, let's say that would be their
Daddy.
constitution at play.
But the
Right.
thing is, like, the reason why the Firefly, well, we'll get to the Fireflies later, but essentially their full control was always going to be, they were always going to have full control. Because as soon as the government goes, as soon as there's an emergency, there's always going to be an idea of, there's always going to be a balance between freedom and security, right? So let's say if there's a government that proposes more, okay, we're going to take more care of you, we're going to give you the free healthcare, free education, whatever. That means that you're forfeiting more power to the government, and therefore the government will have more ability to dictate how you live your life. While at the same time, if you say no, fuck you, I want to pay for my healthcare, I want to pay for the schooling because I want to decide where my kid goes, whatever. Then that means you're gonna have more freedom, but the government will be taking less care of you, and therefore you're gonna be living a much more dangerous, or not like more, I guess, unsafe life in comparison to the more safe life that you'd be living in a government system where they take care of you more. So that's the issue here. So it's an issue of how much would the governing body take care of.
So if you had to choose, sorry, let me finish up.
it's okay.
If you had to choose, like, I'll see. In that sense, I guess the QZ would be where you have less freedom, but the government takes care of you, in a sense. Where, and let's say up north is more like your freedom, but I guess you're kind of more on your own. What would you choose?
See, that's the interesting point. I think it depends on individuals and their skills. So if you're an unskilled regular person, going in the QZ is your best option. You're not going to but if you're skilled and you know how to use a gun, you know how to hunt and stuff, going out in the wilderness and surviving is fine, because the zombies aren't going to be in the wilderness randomly. You might find one or two stragglers, fine. But you're not going to. The main places you shouldn't go are cities, because then you get fucked.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, even in the QZ, you can't be guaranteed that you'd be safe. There are still some stray zombies there. You're gonna find
Like
those,
in the mall.
Yeah, exactly. Or even.
But was the mall in the QZ or
The
mall
mall
was-
was outside
Yeah,
the
it
QZ.
was boarded out like in, and they had thrown them in the basement. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in that case, they had like purposely said we've controlled it, like they're underground type of thing, you know. So
Was that in another QZ or was that in?
that
It's
was the
just- it's
QZ
in
with
Boston.
That was in
the
QZ in
woman.
Boston. Okay.
The one Ellie was in.
Okay, because
But
there was
we've-
another
we've all-
QZ that
Yeah, but-
had driven them down into the sewers, but
Oh,
then they fucked up.
It's the one where Kansas City.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Kansas City. So there were instances of QZs falling.
Mhm.
That's because they probably weren't controlling properly enough. So if you have quarantine zones, you absolutely need to have some form of power and check,
Yeah.
seeing it where, okay, this person is infected, this person is not. It's important to have that. And yeah. That's
That's the crux of the issue, no? Though, like the whole freedom versus security thing is like, and I'm not even trying to be political by saying this, but I mean, like we all kind of face that same conundrum, right? Last couple of years,
Yeah.
and I think this show properly highlights like it properly illustrates
the pros and cons.
the pros and cons in the sense that, like, for instance, you have some people who take it so far that, like, let's say your preference, right, for freedom versus security turns into like an immediate judgment call on who you are. And when you start painting people that way, it's like that's how you devolve into extremism, right? That's how, like, some people can see Fireflies as liberators, others see them as terrorists, or you see Fedra as an authoritarian state or as protection. Like, you know what I mean?
It depends on a political point of view, I guess. But I think like, I'm not for totalitarianism, but in this instance, they don't have much of a choice.
No.
Right? Like, in the context, it's like, yeah, that sucks, but like, what else is there?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
But also at the same time, if they kind of said, okay, well, America's armed enough, then they can go out into their pocket communities and build, like, you can incentivize giving pocket communities to, like, have like this overarching government. I think Fedra isolating itself into pockets is a way they can isolate their own power, when in reality, if they gave the resources and stuff to their people and said, okay, here's some resources, figure it out. But even then, it's like, even now as I'm seeing it, I can figure out, like, there's raiders and other stuff. People might use it for bad. So my next question is, why was there a dissent in Fedra controlled zones? Like, why was there?
Give-
why
give
were
an
there
example of
uprisings? Okay, so like the Fireflies.
Well,
Why did the Fireflies exist?
It's an exciting ideology, right?
Why is there red and blue sides in the United States, right? In the sense that you have people who be controlled and people that don't. So the people who were stuck in the QZs who were being controlled that didn't like it, well,
They joined the Fireflies, and then
Rebelled.
it's like a rebellion, right?
Yeah.
There's always gonna be a rebellion in any type of tyrannical, like.
But why was
government?
Why was there dissent there, but there wasn't necessarily in a place like Jackson?
because
Jackson, I think, is the only one we're accustomed to where there's no QZ. Like, it's just people living in a community.
I mean, there sort of is a QZ. They build walls and stuff.
they built walls, but it's not an actual QZ. Like, you know how, like, I'm from like
It's
Kansas
a scale
QZ.
issue, I think.
What do you mean?
Because, like, on a
What do you mean
community
by that?
on a community level, like human beings generally, like throughout the course of like just human history, we're very community oriented people, more than you're like state oriented, or more than even tribe oriented or family oriented. We're community based like creatures. We're social creatures that way. But like when you're at the community level, it's like you can naturally balance your personal wants and what's good for the group. Once you get to a certain scale, it's like you're making blanket decisions no matter what you do. So you're always gonna leave like you enforce rules like via plurality, not with a majority even.
I think the scariest part is that like
You get what I'm saying? So like a
do you mean?
majority would be like 5149 isn't really a majority, it's a plurality. So
Okay.
plurality just means, let's say, get the most votes like to get past the halfway point, for instance. Or plurality could also be like let's say the way we have it here in Canada is like you don't need a majority, you need a plurality, in the sense that like doesn't matter if you only got like 20 votes. If there's 100 people voting and everyone else got less than 20 votes,
Then
you're in
you're
power
in
all of a
power.
sudden for all 100 people. Like just like I'm just spitballing numbers,
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
but you get what I'm saying. So that's a lot easier to account for individual differences the smaller your group is. So if you're on a community level, it's like no one's gonna be that like discontent. Like,
So you're saying a community level organization is stronger than, like, let's say Fedra being in control because of
yeah, as far as balancing like someone's actual like happiness in this post-apocalyptic world, that's probably the only way you'll actually come about that, unless you get into a position of power through traditional means, like in Fedra QZs.
So Fedra being in control, Fedra's descent is a result of its sort of non-communitarian action.
Yes, because it completely removes the wants of the individual in favor of collective security.
Okay, interesting. What about you,
Maybe
Luca?
collective security is not the right word. But
okay, so in the sense saying that kind of not letting the people choose what they want to do in a sense. Like
yeah, because if you're
security
in
or-
Jackson and you want to fuck off,
like-
you fuck off.
Yeah, I guess. I think with time, right? Because again, the show passed. We see like 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that probably most people obviously started off in the QZ, or all of them started off in the QZ, right? And driven out by their own selves in a sense, right? So the downfall of the QZs and you know, the government, or in the sense, right, the I say Hydra, but it's
Fedra.
Sorry,
Yeah.
my brain is lost. Fedra is because of Fedra.
Yeah.
So their own downfall in the sense that they just didn't exactly what you're saying.
They didn't
There's,
tend
like,
to the
no
people's
individual-
needs or
Prioritize
the
the
community.
community
So
needs.
like it eventually some places worked and some places like
There's-
you see that they just abandoned. I
And
guess
at the same time,
maybe
yeah.
outbreaks happened
Yeah.
and people died and then it just
But there's also
nobody went to
no
fix it up.
communication. There's no like, so you don't know
Yeah.
what's happening across the stream, across the other continents or states, you know, right? So you hear kind of blabbers of, or like rumors, and so
It's
people
like what happened to the
It's true.
Boston QZ? Oh,
exactly,
well, I don't know.
and so that drives like, oh, they got raided by you know, fireflies. Oh no, what that could happen to us? So there's a scare factor. There's a, what are we gonna do now? And
Were the people in Kansas fireflies? The people who overthrew Fedra?
No, not necessarily.
just
Not-
raiders, I think.
I think they just like probably Firefly started like a revolution something and then just people just joined in and then I think
They all
the
got
people just
they all fucked
took
up
over.
that one night, didn't they? When they were hunting Henry.
Yeah.
no, but
So-
before that, like you saw how they took over Fedra. Like they killed all
Yeah.
the Fedra soldiers and
Yeah.
they took over. And then I guess it was a couple of months and stuff. And then when they were chasing Henry and some, they all like fucking died.
Okay.
Well, there's also good old nepotism in there. So, like, for example, there's a lot of people that get better off in those QZs than others. So, like, for example, you have Joel, who, yeah, he's not exactly in the best spot ever, but there are officers that are nice to him and that
Mhm.
give him, that help him smuggle things in return for, like, let's say, for example, pills. Like, you know, there's a scene where that same guy that caught them outside of the QZ, like, he meets with them outside of that square and they trade information for pills, or they trade, like, you know, like cigarettes for pills and for extra rations. So you have people that have that situation going on, and then there's people that get stuck doing sewer duty where they have like high risk of getting bitten.
Yeah, there's different. Obviously, that makes a big effect as well, right? What you're placed in, right? Because you see in Ellie in high school, where they kind of, depending on how you act, your grades, or they put you in a status or in a job, right? Like,
yeah.
and that probably has an effect as well. Like if you're cleaning sewers, like
You're gonna
probably
hate them.
5-6 years in, you're gonna become a firefly, right? You're gonna rebel. You're gonna go get back at them because they made you like clean shit for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
right?
And then that cycle continues, because I'm sorry, but I found the Fireflies to be such utter, like, I played the video game so many times and they didn't sound like assholes, they just sounded super incompetent, like compared to Joel and Ellie and
Yeah.
Tess. And then I watched the TV show and I'm like, these guys are assholes. Like, these guys could just be the next Fedra if
What
they
do you mean
wanted
by
to.
that?
Well, they
Yeah.
are in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, that
They-
girl
They
But
just
what do you-
have dirtier drip. That's the only difference. In the show. That is literally the only difference. In
That
the show.
scene in the show where
Well,
like
they're- I
the
think
wo-
they're just as extremist
They are.
as Fedra.
They
They're like
definitely
it's like how you said like
Those
how
red and blue.
one extreme end kind of like makes another extreme end reactionary
Yeah.
sort of thing. And the way, if you believe in the sort of curve of where political affiliations lie, where it's more of like a horseshoe instead of a straight line,
Yeah.
where the farther like say right or left you go, the more it leans towards totalitarianism, kind of like that. I think it's a lot deeper than that, and we kind of hinted it towards before, where it's like it's not as much. I found that the show is a lot about family and a lot about
Hope.
community and hope and being together, right? Who's the guy who had his own community? Like the one guy, Bill, I think his name was.
Yeah, Bill.
Bill.
Well, it wasn't
Bill
really.
and-
A
It was
Bill and-
community.
It was himself.
Bill and Frank, right?
Yeah.
So it was just him, right? He gated his own town off or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know how like he was kind of living in despair for a while until Frank came in, and then he had so
Strawberries. That's all I'm gonna say.
taste.
I actually I have a point on that once you're done.
So yeah, hold on. So you know how like they have their own.
Please say something about that.
Yeah, so what I noticed was that the show was a lot about communities and stuff like that, and Fedra didn't seem like sort of like it didn't seem like a friend. It seemed like a governing body. So there was that inherent disconnect. Like we have a disconnect from our government. Like we don't see them as like we know them personally who they are. We see them as like faceless people.
And
You know
it's
what-
funny because even the word public official, it's like how public, how public. Let's be real.
Exactly. So, but then when you go to Jackson, for example, I know I'm using Jackson as an example, but it's sort of like a model of what to do and what not to do.
I mean,
Not
what
in the-
other
but I
example
know-
could you use? The other example was Sam and his old.
Well, there was the cannibals.
Well, yeah. What was the
cannibals.
guy's name?
Daniel.
Sam? Daniel and Alec.
James and
The guy that gets
Josh and Mac.
Mac.
the priest.
The guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's not really a good example.
It's
course.
David, I think.
James and David.
As soon as-
Oh yeah, David. You're right.
David.
David.
It's David, and the other one is
Alec.
Troy Baker.
James.
Yeah, literally.
The other
So
guy
any-
is
So anyway,
Joel.
anyway, Joel. So I think when it comes to
Did
the
anybody
whole-
think that like
whole-
when Pedro Pascal was cast, they were gonna
Oh.
change it to Yol? Like,
Joel.
or Yoel.
Me llamo Joel.
Hold on, sir. So let me finish my point. So as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted.
Fuck you, bitch.
Fuck your bitch.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
So I was saying, it's a lot more about family and unity and community, right? So when it comes to Jackson, it was much more about like as if it was sort of like, what was the brother's name?
Tommy.
Tommy was kind of like
Tommy.
a father figure to a lot of the people in Jackson. And I know it's like a communist system because that's what they say in the show.
Yeah, Maria says it.
Maria says it in the show, but the thing is, stuff like that works very on a smaller scale because you need to know who the people are in power so you can trust them effectively, so then you can follow them effectively. You know what I mean? So the people who have, like the people who have the strongest following to other people are usually people who have like a platform, and they have a face. There's a face to that platform, and then you build like a trusting relationship with the followers. Right? So let's look at politicians. Usually that's why politicians, you don't vote for the party, you vote for Trump,
person.
or you
Yeah.
vote for
Figurehead.
Biden,
A single
or you vote
presence,
for Bernie Sanders or whoever the fuck else. But like So it's always about the single person because you want them to build trust in that individual. So that was the problem with, let's say, with Fedra, was that Fedra wasn't able to do that. So then, because it wasn't able
Like,
to
can
do
you
that,
put a face on Fedra?
not necessarily,
No.
because
Even
it's
the Fireflies, you could say Marlene's the face. let's say.
Marlene.
But Fireflies, it's more about
But
the
it's a
hope of the organization, right?
Yeah.
So just how the rebellion in Star Wars didn't really have a face. It had Mon Mothma, I guess.
Princess Leia.
Princess Leia, whatever. But it wasn't really a face. It was more of a symbol, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Fireflies represent the freedom of the people, but Fedra
The
represents
light
like that.
at the end of the tunnel. Or
Exactly.
what's your slogan?
And when
The light, something-
When
Inside you are two wolves.
inside you are Fedra and fucking
No.
fireflies.
so
No, it's just the wolves. It's just there.
so yeah. So I don't know if you guys have anything to comment on that. Luca, you had something to say, especially about Bill and
No, but that nothing to do with any of
Yeah,
this.
like strawberries are a symbol. You know? Like
I think the Fireflies were, in a sense, like the light, like their whole slogan was like the light out what on the other side of the tunnel, but the
getting
way they went
groped.
at it was wrong. So in the sense that they kind of just armed everybody and were like, okay, this
You're not happy with Fedra? Here, take guns, blow up their
Yeah,
QZs.
exactly. It was-
Like,
it was just
that's gonna solve so
such
many
a
problems.
kind of good idea in a sense
like
of
it's an immediate attribution of power.
100%. It's the complete opposite of the QZ. It's like here is no power, no nothing, like
complete anarchy.
complete anarchy to like here's a gun, do what the fuck you want, you know. And it was a good idea in a sense that like in a rebellion, not to kill people but to acquire people to
Acquire power.
You're incentivizing people to
yeah,
come.
100%. Incentivizing like here,
Join
like,
the dark side.
actually give you something to protect yourself instead of like, oh, we'll protect you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah. So I think that was a good
Agency
one.
is very attractive, right? Like individual agency.
Yeah,
you
understand.
get told would you rather go work at a place where they tell you as long as it's done, do it however the fuck you want,
Or do
you,
it,
or,
yeah.
or like a place where it's like
They
as
micromanage.
you get the job done, but yeah, micromanage. You break it down like every step of the way. If you like veer off the path even once, it's like, oh fuck you, you did it wrong.
Yeah. So I think that's a good point. So.
Or like anybody who's had to get like fucking QA'd working in customer service, it's like they get anal about the stupidest things.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry if I'm talking to a client for 40 minutes and they swear, okay, and we get to that level of familiarity and I say, oh yeah, you can ignore that shit. It's like, no, don't tell me that I didn't do my job just because I swore once with someone who's swearing like a sailor.
Yeah.
You get
So
what I'm saying?
then you tell your boss respectfully.
Go fuck yourself.
So the point about Bill and his gay lover,
They were roommates. They were roommates.
So his roommate, I have kind of I don't know. I wonder what you guys think. I think his roommate was kind of surviving. There was no love at all.
What?
Compared to Bill, I think Bill genuinely fell in love. But I think what's his roommate's name?
Frank.
Frank. I think Frank was surviving.
He was
in my
filthy.
opinion.
No.
Oh, you think
no,
Frank
Frank
was settling?
No. Frank was definitely gay.
I'm not saying he wasn't gay. I'm saying he was surviving in the sense that
He'd be a really
let
good
me
actor.
finish up.
Surviving
What
that
do you
dick.
mean by that?
But he's been like by himself. He was in the QZs. He's like, barely surviving, barely any food, barely even like hasn't had a shower in months. Gets to this town that has like just a fucking one guy living in it, has water, has electricity, has food. Like
Amazing food.
would you like? Would
Binging
you
with
not? In a
Babish
sense,
King.
like
That's true, but at the same time, he did want other people to come too. Frank did want other people
100%
to come.
because
Mom, I'm coming.
Well, think about it. He was bored. In the
At least
sense
I
that
had a phone to my
he
ear.
was surviving
Yeah.
because like obviously he found this great place to survive in, and then wanted other people to come to make a community because he was by himself with Bill, right? Like
I think I get what you're saying. Like basically like a modicum of intimacy is better than no intimacy at all. But
Better than-
it's not like, let's say, would he pick Bill regardless?
100. That's
kind
my
of
point.
thing.
Yeah, like
I get what you're saying.
don't get me wrong. I think he obviously don't like.
I don't
the
even
whole
think there's anything
sexual
wrong with that.
rotation, not a problem, but in the sense of like genuinely just saw a place to survive and like took his option. Was like, okay, it's either I go back out and try to survive and probably die in a couple months,
Or
or
get dicked every now and again. Like, easy choice.
like that's it. Like survive.
Mhm.
He chose to survive. He took some dick.
Yeah. It's not even, it's not even necessarily a problem if you really think about it. It's kind of like most people, I'm sorry, like most people, you're going to have to settle. Like, that's how it works, right? You can see.
Okay, you're in prison. You're about to get shanked. Would you take some dick to not get shanked and have protection?
Within you, there are.
Is it a life sentence?
A life sentence.
Life sentence?
You're
Just
in a
get
life
rid of me.
sentence.
Just kill me. If there's a chance of me getting out of prison, no, don't ask me this.
Excuse me. You know what my answer
Take the
is.
dick.
You know my answer is.
The
Within
blade
you-
or the shaft?
No, there's two wolves. The one wolf is the dick. The other one is the shaft. Which one do you feed more?
No, I was talking about Wesley Snipes and
Oh, fraud.
No, but
Tax evasion.
the point is nothing to do with like I think like love.
What would you do, Luca?
A shame for this
I
play.
think it's just an opinion saying that I think it was nothing to do with love or passion. I think it was for Bill, which it was, and you could see that. But I think for his
Yeah,
counterpart,
Bill was simping for sure.
his
Big
counterpart
time.
was a full like it was survival.
I don't know, man. I was
Survival
pretty,
of the
I was crying.
dickest.
I was crying at the end of that episode.
You know, it's not like
Yeah, but-
something can't
so-
develop
so
over
Frank-
time into.
But you know what's
Hey,
funny? Frank pulled up to Bill, and while they were sitting down and eating, you didn't see the scene in the movie and the show because they deleted it. He went,
Anyway, how is your sex life?
But like, if you think about it, like when Frank was dying, and Bill, he's like, "Don't like, I don't want you to die with me." Like, I don't know, like as much as it was a soppy, like nice, cute story, like I felt like on Frank's side, no compassion. Like he was just like, "I want to die, kill me." Like I don't care if you come with me, kind of thing.
I don't like sand.
Like at the end, maybe okay, like in a sense that after like they lived like 20 years together, you know, but like there was somewhat maybe of a love at the end or like a general
Okay.
like. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm done.
"We're getting lost in the weeds here."
We're going into the.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I love Bill and Frank, but honestly, I think
How
Bill,
much do you love them though?
No, man. I think Bill should have been cast. I think Bill should have been cast as Jack Nicholson.
But what were they wearing?
Continue.
This is haram.
all I'm gonna say is that I've never
Don't
seen
say it.
strawberries be used more haramly than.
What
you
the
just
fuck?
you just know those strawberries went somewhere. That's all I'm gonna
Have
say.
you never seen Betty Boop?
Strawberry beads.
About the butt. I'll figure out about the butt. Beat.
What the fuck was that? Play it again. Play it again.
About the butt. I'll figure out about
I don't think that makes Frank a douche though. I will say
I don't think he was a bad person. I just think that at the beginning, let me rephrase. I think it might have turned into love and passion, but at the beginning, it was not. It was pure survival.
Whore.
yeah, that's fair. But like it's like you're doing.
He's
your
literally a
duty.
whore, though.
Honestly,
You're doing your duty. He's not.
I think that episode was fucking ass.
Okay, just because.
Why do we have to sit 1 hour to watch two gay men argue
okay,
for
just-
like?
Okay, no.
8
guys,
months?
guys. Here's the important question: Who's the top? Who's the bottom?
Bro,
Chris.
both
Yo,
You literally.
Who's the
we-
top? Who's the bottom?
Bill's bottom. Bill's bottom for
bottom,
sure. Bill was bottom.
Bill's bottom.
they're switch. Both of them are switch. Both of them
You
can
just-
69 each other.
You
fellas.
just had to go the kink mode.
Are you
huh?
kidding me? Both of them are bears. Like they can both topple each other down. Except later on. Except later on when Frank turned into fucking what's the guy's name? Theory of everything. What's the
Stephen Hawking? Are you fucking serious? Okay.
yeah, sorry, I forgot his name.
Then he became a bottom.
It's just-
You mean
Yeah,
Audie
when he
circa fifth grade?
what? when he slowly turns into Stephen Hawking, like yeah, he's probably gonna be bottom.
He turned into a human puddle.
I beg your pardon.
Sorry.
Okay, go on.
All I know is our parents the whole time watching episode 3.
Bold of you to assume my parents would even watch it.
My parents watch it.
The minute my mom was really loving the show until Sarah died and she immediately checked out.
Oh my god.
Like ASAP.
My
Who
dad
di-
was
who
loving the
died?
show until the third
Sarah.
episode came
The
out,
fuck
and then
Sarah?
he's like,
Tez?
"Why the fuck
Oh,
did
bro,
we have
no,
to watch
Sarah.
that?"
Joel's daughter.
Oh, he's like, "This was pointless."
Yeah, my mom was really invested and she's like, what's coming out of that lady's mouth? Like she was really like into it. And then the minute Sarah died, she was like, oh, it's one of those shows now. And she fucked off.
Oh man.
She fucked off ASAP. It broke her heart.
Well, anyways.
Continue.
Mom.
So, my next question is, what are the similarities between Joel and Ellie?
That's a good question.
Vocabulary.
Fuck.
Shut the fuck up.
What do you mean by that?
They
They know
No,
about loss.
I was gonna say something, but I'm not gonna say it. Or you could cut it out. But
Just
like
say it.
they both
Like
they
she
both
did-
like tasting the same thing, I guess.
she
Fucking dumbass.
the similarity between Ellie and Joel is that Ellie wants a daddy and Joel wants to be a daddy.
It's a symbiotic
They
relationship.
chose the perfect guy for it too. Pedro fucking Pascal.
I'm daddy, Pedro Pascal.
I think
Well,
to actually answer
He's an actual piece of shit, though.
who Joel.
in the show,
Oh yeah. big time.
Oh, we'll get to
we'll
Joel.
we'll get to that point.
What else do they like? They like knives.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
They like Swiss blades.
I was being facetious. They like knives. Like it's
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
They do.
It's not a joke. I thought you were genuinely asking.
They like buck knives.
I am asking. What are the similarities between Joel and Ellie that you noticed?
I think they're both outsiders. Like they both didn't fit in and didn't have like a sense of belonging or a place that they felt like home. And so, obviously, when they met and they obviously got along, they realized it kind of like they felt the same way. How like for the last 20 years since the infected,
Sins.
there was nowhere that they felt like they were included or felt like home, right? So when kind of that relationship between each other like started or like that
Developed.
parenthood, almost like father daughter, they felt a sense of belonging between each other, you know, but like kind of a home.
She never felt
Too.
at home at the when she where she was like the foster.
She never had a father,
Yeah.
and he kind of lost
and
his
he
daughter.
lost his whole life like growing with a daughter, so nobody take
Yeah.
care of just being alone.
Well, it's
miserable.
literally it's that he lost his daughter, and she never had a father, so it kind of like almost fit perfectly as well.
At the same
I
time,
thought it was
Daddy.
really interesting. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say at the same time they know about loss. So like, yeah, he lost his daughter. She lost her best friend, roommate.
Bill and Frank.
Would you say Anne Frank?
I said Bill and Frank.
I didn't know her first name was Bill.
Oh god.
Continue, Saddle.
No, yeah, no, they know about loss. Like the.
I thought it was interesting that he, like, that second day of the outbreak, he tried to shoot himself. That was a really interesting revelation. Like,
What do you mean?
I found
No, that was at later on
yeah, that's
the
not
last
in the
episode.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
not
well,
in the original game. But like when she asks him, like, you know, what fucked up your ear, and he's like, I just wanted to end it like the second day after Sarah died, right? And then he just twitched and never tried it again. I thought that was like a really
yeah, that was fucking.
that was a
impactful.
really interesting, like, it adds another layer to
Joel's character.
like when you say, because a lot of people say that parenthood, like, it saves their life
Yeah.
in a way, you know, or like they're down and out and their kids save them every day just by virtue of like getting to be their parent, you know, like
Of
it sounds
love, yeah.
sappy and cheesy, but like it's a natural feeling, right? So like when you foster and you care for someone else, makes you value your own life more too. So like I don't know, I just thought that was it just adds another layer to like justify him going sicko mode at the end in the
Boing, boing. Bro, you put the wrong
right,
one.
like when he becomes a machine.
Fucking guy.
You put the wrong, really?
No, I
He put
on purpose.
He put in Paris instead of.
in Paris.
Sicko
Aaron has.
Okay.
Okay, out of topic. What do you think?
About mushrooms.
No, the relationship between Joel and Ellie.
Honestly, like it's like hard to place because I'm trying to really think, and I'm like, they do have differences. Like I'm trying to piece like what similarities do they have? Because like
They
at
like
the beginning,
puns.
at the beginning, like Joel's not happy. Like I would say like Ellie has hope when she realized she has a cure. Like
She is the cure, yeah.
she's the cure. But like at the beginning, Joel didn't give a fuck, and he does it for Tess because he cares for her. So like I would say like they're both hopeful for a better future, but without meeting Ellie, they're completely different people. So like I'm I'm having a hard time
I don't
answering
think
this
so.
question.
I don't think they're that different.
Like, I feel like
think
he
they're
is
naturally very
hopeful.
similar.
He is hopeful near the end when like he's like trying to make her happy because he's like they have like a mission to accomplish.
I think
But before that, like, what do they actually have in like? I'm having a hard time.
They're both
placing
rough
this.
around the edges. They both like puns. The mutual sense of loss. They
But
both
he's more
like the-
introverted and he's more closed off than Ellie. Ellie's like trying to like get to know the person.
Well, that's because
They-
I think
They both
that-
okay. Similarity, I found it.
He respects her intelligence too. He gives
I got
her
it.
a level of agency that like she just never got from anyone else.
Yeah.
Also,
They both have really fucked up pasts.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah, like that's the biggest one I could
do
get.
you only
Loss.
listen when you're speaking into the mic?
Bro, never.
They have both have a sense of loss. Like
That's
the
it.
point
Yeah,
there.
the loss is
But it's
the
not just
only
that.
point
Their
I could get.
personalities are similar.
But
I
like,
Well,
agree.
I
I
feel-
think their personalities are similar. I don't agree with
I
Alex
think,
at all.
but
They're
I
like
think
no bullshit kind of people.
even though they're both sort of like they have fucked up pasts, but frankly, everyone has fucked up
Yeah,
pasts
that's
in
true.
this world.
Frankly, and
but-
Billy.
I think like
And Frank and Bill.
Honestly, I kind of parallelize. I want to
You
parallelize.
Parallel.
Like Frank?
Joel and Joel and Leonardo DiCaprio and
How'd you get Leo in this?
and Ellie and whatever model.
So basically,
Leonardo
Joel is
DiCaprio's
Leonardo
dating.
DiCaprio and Ellie is
Oh,
Elliot
ew.
Page.
Well, the actors
Inception.
have the same dating range.
Oh,
The actors have the same dating
Where's
range.
this analogy going?
I didn't know. It has nothing to do with the TV show.
Oh.
I have to disagree with you, Alex, because yes, in the sense why they met has nothing to do. Like, there's no correlation. Like, he didn't give a fuck because he obviously didn't know her. Like, there is obviously they're not gonna be alike in the sense, like, he didn't do it for her. He did it for what was her name?
Tess.
Tess, right? So I think you're thinking about like the reason why they met, other than more.
No,
than,
not
like,
the reason. It's just I'm trying to like I don't know. Like
Well, obviously-
I'm thinking too much of the game, and I'm like,
because the things you're thinking right now of like he did it for Tess and nothing to do with Ellie, but obviously he didn't know Ellie, right? So like, why the fuck would it make a difference? I think it's more in the sense of like why they got so close, because they were only together for a couple of months, right? Like it wasn't like they didn't really know each other.
yeah, but wouldn't you get close with anybody if you're surviving for a couple of
Like,
months?
yeah,
It's
You're spending every
traumatic
day-
bond.
you're spending every day with it. But I wanted to say this
Trauma.
before I got rudely interrupted. You fucking dickheads. Boobies. So I wanted to say this, which was that Joel has much more of a deeper wound than Ellie.
Bro, Ellie's happy all the
But-
time. Like
but-
she's like happy and shit.
Well, she's happy because she's trying to cover.
Yeah,
the
I know,
pain.
but like Joel
but
just
but
keeps it
but
in.
hold on. But Joel is like they both need something. Like someone said this before. It was sort of like as a joke. Is like was it Ellie needs a daddy and Joel
I
wants to
said
be a
that.
daddy. But basically that's what it is. It's
Daddy.
like she wants someone to look up to and to kind of follow the lead of, but at the same time
Joel
Joel
wants
wants-
to have somebody to teach and
well, not even just that. He needs someone to put it to heal the wound of losing his daughter.
yeah, she was
and
an
you see-
orphan, and he was like the adopted, right? He adopted the orphan.
But in a way, yeah. But I think the merit of whether or not like Joel should be the father figure that Ellie has, that's a different discussion that we're going to have right now, which is, do you think that Joel is a good person?
bro, this is the best question I
Ooh.
want to answer. I want to
I-
keep my shit last, so everybody else go ahead.
I mean,
Ballsy.
You were talking about community. This
Yeah.
guy thinks for himself. I think he is a pretty
What do you
selfish.
mean by that?
He thinks about others, but he's also pretty selfish because he has lost some a core part of his life, a very big core part of his life, that being his daughter. He has clung on to people that give him reassurance and safety in the form of, I don't know what, like emotional intimacy. Did that taste good?
Bro,
Are you
it
happy?
smells so bad in this room right now, and
Good.
it's the fucking mushrooms.
Good for you.
I can't tell if it's Saro's feet or it's the mushrooms.
No, my feet don't smell that bad. I put Lacoste perfume on them. No, not really. But, what were we talking about?
Oh, hold on.
Stupid.
The
Joel being a
community.
big person. and Joel's community standards.
So he has Tess he loses, and then he has Ellie, and he has a hard time to let Ellie in, but you see the gradual closeness to it, like them getting closer. Shut the fuck up.
Talk, man.
Fucking ADHD motherfucker. Stop.
We're not all like that. We don't claim him.
I'm the Bella Ramsey of the group.
Oh my god.
How dare you?
I
She
can
would
give
kick your ass, bro.
I'll give one example,
Guys,
which
chill,
is
chill.
the what is it, the train theory or the trolley theory, where it's like you have
What the fuck's
five
a trolley
people.
theory?
Hold on, shut up.
One second.
He's gonna explain
You have like
it.
you have like 5 people that you don't know on one side of the railroad, and then you have like one person that you really hold dear to your heart. Would you kill those 5 people to save that one person, or would you save the one person to save the
To kill-
majority?
Or would you
Kill
like
the-
kill
kill
those
one
the one
person.
person to save the majority?
Exactly. So he's faced with that dilemma, and I think in his own selfishness, and I can understand him, but at the same time, bro, you kept on, you would also find another person. But I think because he got too close to Ellie, he didn't want to lose another quote unquote daughter.
But we're gonna talk about whether Joel's actions at the end was justified later. But
alright,
but
whatever.
like as a person himself,
As a person himself, he's a rough around the edges dude. He's killed innocent people before. They've mentioned that multiple times. They dropped it in the hints in the TV show.
do you think it was right for him to kill those people who were basically incapacitated? The people from David's group, the priest.
The people in David's group, I think, what, like when they were at the university?
No,
or-
when
no,
he's
no, when they're
torturing
at
the
the
people.
Oh,
Like
just
where he
at the
put the
town.
knife in his mouth and
Oh, was that extra and over the top? Yeah, but he did what he had to do. Like if like let's say for example, if you don't kill that person, they're gonna come back in that situation and they're gonna kill you. So he did what he had to do to survive. So
Okay.
I don't think he's necessarily a bad person for doing that, but he has done bad things. So I would call him a pretty neutral person, albeit
Okay.
selfish.
Okay. What about
That's a good answer.
you, Luca?
I kind of agree. You're placed in this position where you need to survive, and no matter what, I think he's right in the sense that it's either like do or die, right? So he killed innocent people, but like they would have done the same exact thing to him. Like in this situation specifically, right? Like in a third world, like in a world where everyone's after each other. There's even like zombies, right? Like kind of like fungus coming after you too. Like you do what you got to do to survive, and I don't think that makes him a bad person. That makes him a survivor. Like he literally is just born and bred to
Survive.
make it out, and I don't think he's a bad person.
Okay.
I would disagree. I think more on the neutral side. I don't think he's an amazing person either. Like he doesn't help anybody really, but like I don't think he's a bad person.
What about you, Panos?
I think he's a piece of shit, but I can empathize. Like not
What do you mean by
not in being a piece of shit, but like you can still love and like and empathize with piece of shit people. Like he is a very selfish guy. He's very prone to aggression and violence to solve his problems. He's very cagey. He's not communicative, and he very much keeps to himself. Like this brother that he hasn't seen in ages, who like especially after his daughter died, that's it. Like that's his only familial tie. Here's that, got married and has a kid on the way.
He starts being a dick to him.
He's a complete douche to him, and it's because he's just focusing on his inner turmoil, right? And that's not to say that he's not capable of putting other people ahead of himself, but you got to think about like the track record. Right, so does he have the potential to be a good person? Sure. I don't think the guy's a lost cause, but as it stands, he's definitely a bad dude. And like, it's fine because that doesn't make him like worthless or like you shouldn't live. Like he's a bad person, like depending on which side of the fence you're on.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
Imagine
if you're on his side, he's a great ally to have. But like, if you're just going about your day and you happen to be in his way, you're fucked. You're totally fucked.
Yeah.
100%. But at the same time, like I agree with you with the brother. And, you know, like his own family left. The only thing in this world that still stands. But his brother also left him. Like they were in a QZ, they were like struggling, everything. Like
Yeah, that is
literally
fair.
Killing
that is fair.
people, probably stuff that they wouldn't want to do, right, to survive. And then his brother went on a mission to gather and collect and something, right, and just never comes back. Like I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I would.
And then stops communicating with
Stops communicating, like everything, like they were communicating already. So what stopped them from saying,
Especially
like, hey,
given the context of this world.
Hey,
like,
I found a great place for us to live. Hey, I found, like, you know, I'm staying here. I found someone I like. You know what I mean? Like, you just.
I mean, he explains why he didn't.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, like, there's still. I mean, like, you bided to this much time enough to get someone along the road of pregnancy. Like, I think there must have been some way that you could have made some trip, or send some kind of message or messenger. Yeah, like that's why I'm saying, like, he's.
But a trip across the country, you saw how difficult it was for Joel.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, you see how far Tommy got without even thinking, like, okay, at this point I should send a word before, you know, like, you know, point of no return kind
But
of
at the
thing.
same time, like, his brother was happy, healthy, you know, like, was living almost his best life in a great community with great people.
But they make up pretty quickly. Like in that
Yeah,
position,
for
you have
sure.
to understand, like, okay, I'm pissed at you because you didn't let me know that you're going
100%,
somewhere, like that
100%.
you went to this town, that you founded this town and you have this great community. But on the other hand, I'm happy for you because, you know, you're healthy, you're happy.
100%.
Whatever.
But like he crossed the whole United States because he thought his brother was dead, or like in a situation, right? Because he stopped communicating. So he literally traveled in, like,
Yeah, but that's just
pursuit
because
of
it's
death.
his brother.
100%. But he
Right? So
traveled-
how many people died on the road, right?
100%. But
and how many of them were justified?
He
so
traveled, like, literally pretty much in an impossible route to go save his brother, but this whole time his brother was safe and sound.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously could have just communicated with him. You know what I mean? Like, I would be ticked off and I would give attitude.
Oh yeah, I'd
you know?
be pissed. No, I completely empathize with the guy. He make, like, everything he does makes sense to me, but
and
he's still a piece of shit.
The worst thing about it is that they were using a map to travel.
Where's that GPS though?
Turn right on
Okay, what do you think, Alex?
Yeah, honestly, I'm like Panos. I think Joel is an amazing character, but like I think as a person, he's a fucking terrible human being.
Yeah, he is big time.
He's done probably stuff like, if you compare, like I know it's about the show and stuff, but like in the video game, like that he knows Tommy's in Jacksonville. It just they don't talk because of whatever happened.
Yeah.
Jackson, whatever. But like he knows his brother is there because like the first time they get there, he's like, oh, like my brother is here.
My
He's
brother.
like, who's your brother? And then whatever, it's like, Tommy. But like
Tommy.
like in the show, I guess they changed it where like they had never spoken to each other
Yeah.
ever since. So I think like that definitely has an impact.
Mhm.
But like I think like he's very selfish. Like he's probably done like really fucked up things that we don't even know about just to survive, and he probably didn't even like think about
the question,
other stuff.
where I'm just saying my point that why I'm going
Like
against you guys.
you
is
guys
it's
empathize.
survival.
I get it, but still, bro. Like there's a lot of stuff like maybe he didn't have to kill all those extra
Okay.
people, you know?
Agreed. I agree with you on that. But at the same time,
Or you don't know what if Fedra told him like, oh, like for survival you gotta like kill these people.
but it's survival. Like do or die. Like you're gonna do. Like you're placed in a
Okay.
situation that
if you're like a Nazi officer in a concentration camp and you're just taking orders, I'm sorry, you're still a piece of shit for being. Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
agree
where
what
do you
you're
draw
saying.
the line? And just because you can empathize, it's like, it's not about
You
them being
understand-
good or
yeah.
bad. It's about them being human.
Yeah,
you can
he has,
empathize
he has
with
no
a bad
human
person.
emotions when he did those stuff. He just did it just because whatever. Like this is the
At
reality.
the
To him-
end, you
to
can
him-
even see like the switch turns off and like it's like
To
all
end-
the sound drowns out when
Yeah.
he goes on his rampage.
To
right?
him, the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
100%. So, like, to him, it's like all about surviving and protecting the people that he wants, and he'll go through whatever fucking treks he has to
Like,
do. If he had to fight Bill to, you know, protect him,
He would have.
He would've,
to protect
100%.
someone that he was close to, like Tess or Ellie, he would have 100%.
Bro,
He would have killed Bill just to steal his car
Kill
to
Bill.
get.
yeah.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. But like the fact that he like they were escaping, okay?
Mhm.
So like Ellie stabbed that guy and then they shot the other guy. Like, did he have to like beat the shit out of him? Like, they could have just left him, or like.
yeah, but that guy would have came back to go after him.
No,
like, it was clear.
why
that
would
they
that?
want-
No, but
he's
he
a
tortured
federal
him.
agent.
The worst part is, well, oh, you mean the guy at the beginning, right?
And Joel knows how to torture people clearly, so he's probably done fucked up shit during those 20 years that like we don't even know about. Like
the people.
I
from
feel like
David-
Joel and his brother Tommy probably were the type of people that like went in communities and like kidnapped people or like found stragglers and like murdered them and stole all their gear just for survival.
But that is assuming.
Okay, but
No, but
I
he said
understand-
that I've done really bad things that you don't know.
I agree,
And
I
they don't
agree.
mention.
But-
So
Sure.
it's not just, oh, I took orders at Fedra.
I'm
I
not
was
saying
in
he's
the
a great
QC.
person. I agree with you 100%.
I think he's a terrible human being, and we'll get it to the later point that like at the end, like what he does, like it's like unjust. Like I get it, it's
Yeah.
your daughter and stuff. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. I don't want to spoil that question, you know.
Yeah, so I would agree with you guys that that he is in his core. I think in his core he's a good person. And I think you can really draw people's. There's I think good in everyone
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent. Like you always hear about these people who are like murderers or whatever, and you hear some people say, like people who are close to them. You hear them say like, "Oh no, I knew this person. Like, oh, he was always very nice to me. He was always very cool with me." And with Joel, it's sort of like that. I think you have to crack that exterior hard shell of what he is, and then inside you'll find like the little bit of yolk.
The little teddy bear.
Can I just say something quick? Like, I think also the situation that they live in kind of just makes you a shitty person, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
You're covering your back all the time. You're on edge. Like I'm sorry. Like if I'm sleeping and someone like comes up to me, like if I'm in that situation, like knife right to the throat. Like I don't even look who it is. Like you know what I mean? Like.
But they'll also keep in mind that the people who were like David's people, they tried to kill him. They attacked him first.
Mm-hmm.
So his automatic thought is like, okay, I have to defend myself and I have to defend her, because my mission, the reason why I'm out here is to defend her, and they're going to threaten her safety. So therefore, I have to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he went a bit too far on certain instances, like especially when it came to like torturing those people. He got the information out for sure, but then he killed that guy and then made the other guy watch.
Yeah.
Like his friend
agree.
die, you know,
But again,
and then bashed his head in, like it's fucked up.
Okay, but another example that kind of comes very close is like in The Walking Dead, you know, like main character, what's his name? Rick, yeah. He kind of is almost like Joel in the sense like I don't find Rick was
because you're on their side. You're on their side.
Yeah,
but
I
if you go in every season and go in
like he
every
kills
other
innocent people,
every other community, he's the guy who comes and takes over everything
100%.
every single time.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Yeah, imagine
But
if
they're
you
surviving.
sat there watching like 10 hours of content for each person he killed. Okay, and how
Yeah.
emotionally invested you get, and they're all murdered by the same guy. Yeah, sorry, Joel's an asshole. We can love him as audience
But I
watchers
think
because we're on his
they're living in a
side,
world of assholes. I think the only people
That
who
is-
survived
Yeah, but-
are the assholes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
and their world doesn't allow for them to be genuinely good people. That's why I'm saying I
Yeah.
don't blame him. He's not allowed to be a good person, but he is. So he
The
is
bar
by
is low.
default
Yeah.
an absolute shithead.
okay, I
Like-
agree. Okay, yeah.
Like to piggyback off
Ellie's
of what
not
you're
a good person either. I don't
yeah.
think.
Well, she.
Well, Ellie's a victim of circumstance,
yeah.
They're all
Very
victims
fair.
of circumstance.
but her especially.
To piggyback off of what Lucas said, like there's that instance where it's like the end of one episode where like they wake up. I think they're in Kansas City, and literally Henry and Sam have guns to their heads. That's how it just how the conversation picks up.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
there's
an
no-
immediate distrust. Everything there's an immediate distrust for everything in the
Exactly.
in that world.
And they were great people, and see the first thing was put a gun straight to their face. Like it's the
Were they
circumstance that
great
they're
people? Henry ended up killing that dude who was doing a lot of good, right?
But
can
was he
get the
doing
meds-
good?
So he can get the
Like,
meds
so you
for.
could-
but also keep
Everybody
in mind.
talks about that guy that he killed like as if it was like the second coming of Christ. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was a genuinely good person, and they didn't last in this world.
in. Yeah.
And also keep in mind he was also an informant for
was.
Fedra.
Yeah.
So
But he was selfish too. He saved his brother who had cancer to being an
But
informant.
that's very parallel to the next question, which is, do you think Joel was justified in saving Ellie at the end?
No.
Um,
What do you mean by
it's-
that?
Okay,
you wanna
because
go
literally Ellie, she said like she wanted to help people. Like she was hopeful to like try to save people. So let's say like okay, they didn't tell her. Like we don't know. Like do they actually tell her like we have to like do an operation, or they just say oh we're gonna do the operation?
She
and
does not know that she's.
I don't think
die.
they told her.
Okay.
At all. Yeah.
So
No,
like
they didn't.
even if let's say they had told her, I think like at first she would have like freaked out, but then I feel like she's such a like she was so hopeful after everything and seeing all those people die and what the fungi, the cordyceps has done to like
Fun guy.
what the cordyceps had done to like humanity. Like I think she would have been like, you know what, like I'll do it for.
Okay, you're assuming the same thing Marlene is assuming.
That she
But
would
like
have
if
done
you're
it,
so
yeah.
if you're so certain that she'd make that call, then
No,
why not tell her the truth?
I'm not certain. I honestly I don't even Marlene's situation. Like I don't justify. I think they should have just came clean and be like,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna die.
But can
Like
I be
we're
honest,
gonna have
like,
to open up your like they do the test
Yeah.
and then after the test they're like, look, the cordyceps has spread way too much in your brain. Like the only way for us to be able to cure would be to like dissect you.
But
and
here's
then whatever.
And then it's up to
So
her.
I think Joel after everything and then realizing
They
like-
didn't, but they didn't tell. That's the problem. They didn't tell
I know
Joel
they didn't
or
tell.
Ellie like for because I think he
No,
would've
but
been-
Joel Marlene literally says like, yeah, she's gonna die. It's like too far spread in their head. And
But
then
did they
she's like,
tell-
you need
But
to leave.
they put her on. They
You
put her
need
under
to
the
leave.
knife.
did they put her? Did wait? Sorry. Did they put? Did they? They didn't tell Ellie.
No,
that-
they didn't.
No, they never
they
told
didn't.
Ellie.
Okay, so okay.
Like,
But
this
the
was
thing is, they never
most
knew Ellie
pointless
was gonna die.
hypothetical.
Well,
It's not pointless.
well, no. Here's the thing. So at first, does Ellie want to save the world? Yes. She said that she was hopeful, and she said that her decision is final. She said that. Oh, she didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing, but she said that her decision is final when Joel asked her, "We don't have to go through this." She said, "I want to. Like we've already come this far. I have to do it." So regardless of whether or not they told her, she would have still been up for it because she had come that far. However, what Joel,
The Fireflies did was wrong.
Yeah, what they did was wrong. They took her without her. They drugged
Like she
her
didn't even
and
get
they-
to
and they-
say goodbye.
Well,
Nothing.
exactly. That's where they come.
He's like,
into
"Where
the
is she
assholes.
on the operating? I want to see." her." He's
Where
like,
is
"No,
she?"
you can't." Where is she?
They were equally as wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but that's the thing about Joel. I was thinking about it, and it's 20 years after the fungus hit, the zombie craze hit. Everybody is pretty spread out. And knowing the Fireflies, how incompetent they are at saving themselves. Like Marlene even said she started off with like 5 guys.
He's like, "They're all
Burger
dead,
restaurant.
and I'm barely made it out
Yeah.
alive."
And so how is it possible that even if they find the cure, they get the cure from Ellie, they kill her, and they are able to like
Spread it out.
Like all it
to
takes is
all
one
over to
Joel
you?
to fuck it up for them.
Exactly.
Like transporting it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So how can you trust that cure to get out to the rest of the states?
I really like that point because, that's a great point. Because
That's actually
So
how
what
you
if they do find it and they do like now you have to like spread it out. You have to when then becomes
You
a
have
monarchy
to,
in the
yeah.
sense that like now they become or so, like
But what if there's also people who don't want the quarantine to end? They don't want the outbreak to end because then that would mean that like they would be like in some ways
Yeah,
you
but
know,
knowing
like they
how-
would lose their power. Like imagine
Yeah.
Fedra wouldn't, like I said before, Fedra wouldn't want to give away their power, right?
But-
So Fedra would go out of their way to possibly
100%.
destroy the
that's what I was gonna
That's
say.
so
And
true. Oh my
knowing
God.
the way the Fireflies act and everything, they probably would sell the cure
the
as
cure,
well.
yeah.
And then it becomes a whole game of politics again where I have the cure, what do you have to offer me? Like in a sense, okay, Joel obviously didn't it
Well,
was
there's
fucked
also
up.
the whole question of would anybody even believe them?
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, it
Would
sounds
anybody
like
believe them? It sounds like we've been
snake
here
oil
20 years.
salesman.
Yeah.
It sound like snake oil.
Half the population doesn't have COVID vaccines. You know what I mean, like
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
And
So-
it's like 20 years in, it's like, oh, now all of a sudden there's the miracle drug because you cut
Yeah.
open like a 13-year-old girl. Okay.
That-
All right,
yeah.
cool, Garcias.
and would you want to live in a world after the fact and everyone's cured? Like I don't know that as well. Like
Like everything's blown up. There's like literally nothing left.
But
and you're
like,
okay,
would the
but now
country
we can
even
live.
reunite? That's the question.
No,
yeah, they
Probably
wouldn't.
not.
It all boils down to a question of trust and you've already said that this is post a world that has conditioned everybody to trust. So has conditioned people
To not
to
trust.
have
To not-
distrust as their base reaction.
lack.
Yeah, but even
Right?
supplies.
But isn't distrust as a base reaction a human thing, anyways?
Yeah.
Like
No.
we distrust the people who we can't see in the unknown, right?
We distrust the unknown. That's the
so
thing.
so that's the thing. There's nowadays it's easy to trust people. It's easier to trust people because everyone you can know this person, you can know that person.
People
right?
advertise their lives online. at this
Exactly.
point,
So-
right?
Exactly, right? So that's why there's like influencers who've popped off because I can trust this person's word. But
like
there
the
in that
familiarity is the security.
exactly, but there in this world there's no trust because there's no communication. Anyone like the reason why in the immediate reaction, the first reaction of Henry and what was it? Was the
Sam.
kids?
Sam.
Sam's thing to when they saw Joel and Ellie was to put guns to their head because I don't trust you. I don't trust like the fact that you have.
just a
You know,
one
that stuff.
one thing as well is supply. Like they don't have millions of needles to give this supposed, let's say, vaccine, right? So now it becomes a war of who's gonna get it, who's not gonna get it, because
Yeah.
they can only make a certain amount, right? They can't just keep on making syringes and stuff. Like they don't have those machines or that power to do so. So now who's to say that you're gonna get it, you're not gonna get it, you're gonna get it, right? And then that becomes a war, that becomes a fight. If I think they found the cure or there was a way
So
that they were
it
able
would just
to,
become a commodity and
100%.
resource, sort of like gold or
it would just be
or
good old
metals.
nepotism all over again. Where with Fedra, like if you were good with them, then you would get better
100%.
shit, and you would get better jobs, and in this case, you would get the
Easier.
cure. But that's why I don't think Joel is not a good communicator. So like he probably didn't even think about that. So he didn't want to tell Ellie that, nor could he. But coming from Joel, from his perspective, I think he just wanted her to be safe.
So
Yeah,
the question would be then, like, would it be better to fix the broken, like an almost impossibly broken world, almost completely shattered, or would it be better to just leave it like that and try to move on with your life?
Yeah, like are they at the?
Would you
point
try to
of no
build? Would you
return?
try to build a new world or try to fix the old one?
I think personally they're at a point of no return. They're
But
it's
then
impossible.
what's the point? Like what?
There is no point.
There's no
I
hope.
think it's
There is no hope.
No, but it's not
That's
that.
fucked.
But I think that's the problem is like
There
it's
has
split
to
into two
always be
camps
hope.
of
There is
either
or isn't.
give up
Yeah.
or return to the old order. But instead,
I
it's
think
like
new
you
order.
could build towards
A new future.
a new social structure, accounting for like
Similar to what they did in Jackson.
Yeah.
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 If they
That's
couldn't,
good.
they couldn't even survive and live with each other without a vaccine, without this possible way of actually fixing it. How are they
was
going to
all
do it with
killing
it?
each other?
And question: Do these zombies starve?
No.
No.
Well, Joel said that
they just get more and more infected.
Decay.
Wait,
Well,
that-
no, they
that's not
get
true.
they get decay. They decay over
decay, yeah.
over time,
no,
right?
Mhm.
well, here's
No,
the
they
thing.
don't.
Here's the thing. It depends. Joel said that some of them have been walking around for literally 20 years. Some of them calcify, like they become one with the couch. They become one with the wall.
Yeah.
like
he's
the
right.
one in the mall. Like he looked
Yeah.
like a bootstrap Bill.
Bootstrap Bill,
Like,
Bootstrap
with the-
Bill.
You know
Yeah.
the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean? He's like stuck in.
But
Bootstrap Bill and strap on friends.
I think in a sense they're one, right? And
Yeah.
So it's like a mushroom, where in a sense like a fungi, right? Like if they don't get that nutriment, then they won't survive, right? But if they say they're one, then
Well,
if
they
one-
sort of say how they're connected
Yeah.
together, right, through the cordyceps and like the vines on the
Mm-hmm.
ground. But I think if you give it like maybe 100 years, like they were all like most of them would at least die out.
No, but I feel like from what I understood, the games is like they get more and more infected. But in the show, they changed some stuff up.
there was
Yeah,
some
they did.
Like they become
differences,
more
yeah.
big. Like they've become fully bloater-esque.
well, the problem isn't even having these creatures, is it? Because you can just treat it as like, because like, look, obviously, like if you live next to like a fucking like a lion's den, you're not gonna go fuck with the lion. And if you do whatever, you're gonna arm yourself or whatever. It's like there's no reason that eventually like people would be so familiar
Yeah.
with the infected that like it just becomes another like another animal type threat or another like
But-
foreign threat that you understand. The problem with it is the contagion, right? So if the vaccine solves the problem of the contagion and spreading it, then
Well, more or less,
they kind of just become like any other beast.
I don't agree with that. All to an extent, yes, because also you get obviously infected, but like there's clear situations where like they don't even have time to get infected. They just get ripped
Yeah,
open
they get-
and
you
die.
get-
Yeah, but that's the
Yeah.
bloaters,
Yeah.
bro. That's the really big
100%.
ones.
Now you
Or
have
the
a vaccine.
clickers.
You're
So
you
all
can't
the
get
people who
infected.
got bit, like Ellie would have survived, Tess would have survived.
Ellie did survive.
Riley.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I'm saying as an example now we
Riley,
found a
the
vaccine,
mom.
we found a cure. You have the cure. You're walking about, you see an infected, they just rip you open. Like
Yeah,
you're gonna
they-
die
But
either
that's
way.
that's only the clickers.
If you're walking
though.
through
They
a
could
Saharan
clap
plain
you.
and
The
you see a
infected is just
cheetah,
gonna
you're
But, like,
run at you
imagine-
and bite you.
Imagine this, right? Like
The bloater will
Usually-
squish the guy's head.
keep in mind keep this in mind, right? How did Tess die? How did Riley die? How whoever? They all died because they fought off the zombie, but they were bit.
yes.
You understand?
You
so it's
solve
like
that.
you solve like maybe 70% of the death cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe
Exactly.
people are gonna be like they'll have tasks where people go and clear out a bit and come back.
You know how long that would take?
Yeah, but-
Centuries.
Because the problem's not even
Not
you
centuries,
dying
but
by
like-
getting bit.
you have
right?
you have
You have
millions of people infected. There's,
Yeah, but bro, it's like Walking Dead, bro. They
But
clear
like
out, they clear out
but keep in mind
eventually.
with what like because eventually you're gonna run out of bullets.
That's
if you
my
think-
knives, bro.
and
Okay,
bats.
dude.
Yeah, but it's fine. You can use like proper like
I-
let's say hand weapons, like non-projectile weapons. You
Machetes.
can still use them
No.
because like if getting grazed isn't gonna infect you
It's
anymore,
gonna infect you in another way though.
It's fine.
if
Yeah, it's sure, but
let's
like
say-
you could say that about any time you need to pacify an area of like beasts.
just to make a sense, if you had a town, okay, let's say the whole U.S., there's a town of 500,000 people that survived, and then the rest of the 31.5 million are infected.
Yeah, but some of
There's
them
no
die
way.
too because
you
of
can
explosions.
you will not clear that out in at least 2 centuries. You know how many people? It's 30 million people.
Yeah, but keep in mind they probably nuked.
Yeah.
They probably bombed. That's what the bombs were for.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
like-
they probably wiped out like maybe 10, 20 million people. They're zombies, right?
It had the same effect as mustard gas in World War One. It was like even Joel said he's like they hit where they weren't supposed to hit. Like they bombed the
there was no
stairwell.
care. They just like
They just
fucking
bombed.
yeah.
Yeah, scorched earth tactics are like really
hot.
like
They're
like
good.
nobody
It's
like nobody
super hard.
pursues scorched earth nowadays
Yeah.
because like the long-term consequences of it are just wow, my eyes are watering.
But
I don't
you
know what
think
happened, bro.
There's a hope. Like, is
crying.
there potential to a new world?
You watched the Bill and Frank episode.
Like, I personally don't think.
Panos is like watching the episode 3 of Last of Us and
Yeah.
just Panos
Wait.
crying.
Wait, what were you saying, Luca?
Personally, I don't think there's an opportunity for a new world. Like, I think
Bro, there's always hope.
slim to
There's
none.
always light at the end of the
I think
tunnel.
there's slim to none in this circumstance where
Yeah.
Man,
like,
you know what? Fuck you,
even-
bro.
even
you,
with a
you're
vaccine-
Joel.
You know what? No, you know what though? Especially with the zombies in this universe, like World
my
War
God.
Z-esque zombies.
Fucking
Fuck
r-
no. Fuck no.
Bro, we were having a discussion
It's the
earlier,
sprinters, bro.
and we said, look, if it was in a
Walking
apocalypse
Dead?
where it's Walking Dead, we probably
survive.
survive. If it was World War Z, like, there's no way, bro. Like, there's
Bro,
no way
bro.
I'm running when there's like 1,000 zombies running faster.
Impossible.
You
than
know what
me.
they have to? You know what they have to do, guys? You have to find the mystery box.
Yes.
They have to find the
ray gun.
They have to find the mystery box. They have to find the pack-a-punch machine, and then they have to like put in the rifle, and it comes out as the Aranez.
But like it sucked because like even in that scene where they're getting chased out of Kansas City, like with Henry and Sam, there's that scene where the Bell Joel is in that house like picking
he's
off
sniping.
zombies, yeah, and Ellie gets stuck in that car at one point, and this one clicker zombie who's a little girl just like gymnastics her way in.
Yeah, I
And I'm
remember
like,
that.
What the fuck?
Wait, how are the clickers made? Like, what happens?
It's
But
the
the-
fungi that spreads, so then
splits
they
their-
lose. It starts from the
They
brain,
lose
right?
sight.
So it calcifies, and then you don't have vision, so you use echolocation.
So, but like, what? How does a clicker develop? Like, does it take a certain level of?
no, it's just years and years of like. The longer you're infected, the more you merge, like into a clicker.
Clapping cheeks.
You get it?
Yeah.
So like, if you're infected for a year and then somebody kills you, like you'll never get to that stage. But like you said, like if it's been a
So-
person who got infected and it's been 7 years and he hasn't been touched, like he's gonna develop into a fucking clicker. And that clicker, if you leave him an extra 10 years, he'll turn into a bloater, which is fucked.
But then what's after the bloater?
Rat King.
The Rat King, bro.
Rat King.
I will say.
Yeah, have you played Last of Us 2?
No.
Oh, yo, you're in for a treat if
I-
they do that shit.
I-
That shit was fucking weird, man.
The TV show showcased
No.
this like almost human side to the fungi. Like it showed it more like
They're very community oriented.
yeah. I mean that's how fungi
Well,
are. Like,
I
but-
probably figured out that that's how you can get more people to join,
fungus.
like just by using numbers,
Yeah.
sheer numbers. Like, let's look at it this way, right? Remember when who was it? Henry and Sam and Joel and Ellie were all cornered off by that bitch,
Yeah.
whatever her name was.
Yeah.
And then Kathleen, and then they had like the whole big ass group.
Yeah.
Imagine there was like maybe 1 or 2 zombies that came out of that hole.
Nothing.
Nothing would have happened, right?
Bro, in the games,
maybe 1 or 2 people would have gotten hurt, but like in this case, it was like fucking
swarms.
a horde of zombies,
But-
and then there's like one big ass bloater. And it goes,
But like in the video
the-
game,
the-
it's always like there's infected and then there's like 1 or 2 clickers. So it's never like in this show they made it like there were like
was
hordes
like
of zombies.
Days
Like it was
Gone.
never like
It was
that.
like Days Gone.
well,
zombies.
keep in mind this, right? Someone said this, but it's one of the best adaptations for a movie to a game or a
Yeah.
game to a movie. Why? Because it doesn't take everything from the game and puts it into a show. It
100%,
changes it
yeah.
up, right? Because
Yeah.
I know that in the game, when you get out of Boston, there's already zombies, right?
There's always infected and clickers. Like,
Exactly.
you always bump into like shit. There's 2 clickers in this room.
But you can't always translate gameplay segments.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly.
It
So
gets
what they
boring,
do, so what
yeah.
what they do is they play a long pot. There's like a long time between when there's zombies and then there's a clicker, or like from when they're out of Boston, sorry,
Yeah.
and then when you first meet
Yeah.
zombies. So there's a long time. So there's like that build up throughout the whole show.
But I think a part of that is they used like the writer of The Last of Us, like the game was
That too.
part
Yeah.
of the cast and
So-
not the cast,
so I
but the writing
He
of
was
the
the
show.
director.
A director of the show, and it kind of kept it true to its origins, right?
And
Yeah,
he just
so
had-
I think-
he
I think-
tweaked little stuff
Yeah,
that he
I-
said like we couldn't have done in the game,
Mhm.
like the origins.
You were saying, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that's also interesting, which is that usually when you have people who were involved in the development of whatever the game was, that makes the TV show a lot better because you're giving that writer a chance to rewrite parts of their own story.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's
to,
like a
so to
remix.
How
so
many
yeah,
times
to
as a
improve.
creator, even you, if you look back to your past videos, how many times do you like see the finished product now with hindsight, and then you think to myself, "Damn, I could have done that bit better. I could have done this a bit."
Yeah,
better.
and that was
Right?
that was like 2 months ago. Imagine it was 10 years ago they made Last of Us
Right?
1.
Yep.
So
2013.
exactly. So keep that in mind. So he had a 10-year gap of looking back at The Last of Us and being like, "Fuck, I should have
And
done
recently-
this. Should have done that."
Recently, they did The Last of Us Part 1 that came out like in December 2022. I don't know if like he
Mean part-
rewatched everything.
Yeah.
It's a game like
Like they
Remastered.
remade it on PS5.
Yeah.
So it's they rebuilt the game. They changed. They kept everything the same. It just they did
The visuals.
the visuals and all that updated. And they probably reshot mocap and the lines again because it sounds better and like
Yeah,
the
but
mouth
to
movements
continue
and stuff.
what Chris is saying is, since I think exactly why it's the best adaptation of a video
It's the
game.
same creator.
It's because they had the influence of the actual creator part of their team. Instead of
exactly.
like like Resident Evil and all that stuff. Like kind of just like took the idea and ran with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
it's hard to not include the writer or like the main idea into the project.
Resident Evil is the perfect example
Yeah.
too, because I think what it boils down to, and this is even like an issue that like sometimes like extrapolates to like legal issues and stuff like that, but it's about interpreting the spirit of something and interpreting the letter, right? So either you follow something to the letter, as in like let's say mechanically, you know, you do everything to a T, but does it really achieve the
Storytelling.
goal and like the intent with which this thing was written?
Okay, yeah.
Right? So if it's easier for you to translate, like, let's say the intent of what the plot is trying to say by changing certain gameplay aspects and changing them into like a different kind of scene that achieves the same spirit,
Yeah.
then your adaptation is better served that way, as opposed to just like, because if you adapt gameplay sections 1-to-1, eventually it just becomes like there's just no point to it. Or there's
Yeah.
because
It would've
it's an
been-
interactive
yeah.
medium, right?
Yeah, so it's
it's
different.
It's different playing Joel mowing people down. It's different playing Joel and literally the whole game is an escort mission, right? So you're
seriously.
So-
Not that type of escort.
you literally you're literally interacting with the world and performing the journey, so to speak, right? It's different watching someone go through that, right? So I found, for instance, that it was, and I loved this about the show. It was really eerie and really disturbing watching Joel gun people down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
But-
last
but
episode was
Which
really
was great because that's kind of the, like, not to get into spoiler territory, but you'll see when they get to the second season, like that perspective, the question of perspective on these vile acts is very central and a core theme of
the second
what
game. Yeah.
part 1 and part 2, like what the whole of The Last of Us.
But it's also
is
who
trying
you
to-
attract in the sense like a video game. If a video game was only 8 hours long, like the fuck, like the gamers are upset, they're bored, you know, like okay, that was it. But like obviously vice versa, if you make the fucking show 40 episodes and like, you know, and it's literally word for word the exact game, like at one point, like okay, how many fucking hordes of like clickers are you gonna go through?
Like, do I really want
Like-
to clear through 15
Exactly.
clicker groups? Because by
It's gonna
that
become
point,
pouring at one point.
well, yeah, because
Yeah, do we want to see
look,
Pedro
how many
Pascal's
times,
stunt doubles?
how many,
like-
how many times did we see clickers in the show? Like twice. Like there's two scenes.
Once.
No,
No,
even.
two scenes where there's
beginning-
clicker. The beginning.
The beginning and then just the bloater. That was it.
That's it.
No, with that scene with the bloater, right? Where
Yeah.
they're in the car.
That's it.
That's it, right? But then that made the clickers so much more eerie and like
100%.
weird. And like they build up to it because as soon as they see the corpse and it's like fresh and it's been mangled up and beaten up, they go like, "You stay the fuck quiet right now." So they stuff like that. So in the sense, so kind of going off what you're saying. So if they want to do a show, if they're going to do a show on God of War, right? If they want to make it really good,
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
they are. Amazon confirmed it. But let's
Yeah.
see if it's actually
Amazon.
it's gonna actually pan.
yeah. So we'll see.
Sorry, bro.
So we'll see. So we'll see if it's good. But if they really want it to be good, they have to have Cory Barlog, who's the guy who
100%.
wrote.
I agree with
who
that.
wrote-
100%.
Bro, he's
God of
been
War.
doing God of War for the last 20 years. Like that's crazy.
Why is it a bestseller game? Because it's his idea.
Same
It's his
Yeah.
direct.
It's
Is it-
about
is it-
keeping the vision consistent.
It is,
right?
but-
Is it?
but it
like
is
the
keeping
question is though.
consistent, yeah.
The question is though, are they going to do are
Old
they,
or-
old or new?
They're
They're probably
new.
going to do the new one,
Yeah.
which in my opinion would make more sense because
Like how are you
but
gonna
depending
do a
the
video game of the like how are you gonna do a show of the
you
original?
could but
can.
like
I don't see
because
why
I
you
think
couldn't.
people confuse the fact that Kratos now he's like an older man.
Yeah.
Or he's older, he has a kid, like he's more developed, but he
He's
was
a
very
daddy.
developed. He was very developed in the original show.
The thing
In the original
is-
games, in the original games,
Yeah.
he was still very developed because everything he was doing, you just say like, oh, he's angry.
Yeah.
But the reality is, he's very much a broken man. Especially
He's
if
a
you play the
As
first
the
game.
games progress, you they add more layers to just it's just a guy that his family died and he just killing people.
Yeah, but like if you play the first game, because a few months ago I beat like the first game, and he was so depressed in that game. He was very like oh, I want to get rid of these nightmares, and then the gods betray him by
Fucking him over,
by
yeah.
fucking him over by their promise of like basically erasing his memory of that. They say like, oh no, you will never be able to erase your memory, but we'll forgive you for it.
He
like
literally commits suicide.
he tried, and then
He
he
tries.
tries, and then they deny it. They deny his own thing.
Death,
So like
yeah.
that was his point of anger. So in that sense, like if they you can build off of that, but I think if they want to do an adaptation of God of War, they have to go off the newer games. Because I think that has more of a chance
Yeah.
of him developing into the relationships with people.
And you could do like all these revelations and shit about his past, let's say Easter eggs to make
Yeah.
sense of it.
Yeah.
Because like Atreus is a brand new character starting with God of War 4, and he has to learn these things about his father, like through exposition. He wasn't there to see, God of War 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So there's no reason that like an audience can't be satisfied with whatever explanations Atreus gets as a character.
Yeah, so
Right.
so there's enough Easter eggs in the game where you can guess that Kratos is from Greece, and also like the part
all the time.
Malaka, and like there was a part where when
He goes to Shamedy.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But
so I was saying there's a part in the game where Mimir realizes that Kratos was the ghost of Sparta.
Ghost of Sparta. You're
And-
that Zeus.
your father was Zeus. Like that scene, like
Oh, that
essentially-
scene's crazy.
like when he sees Zeus in hell.
Yeah.
And he goes to hell and he sees Zeus. He's like, Zeus. It's like, what do you mean Zeus? And he goes like, my father. And you're like, wait, his father was Zeus?
Whoa.
Like
He,
imagine
like,
that.
freaks
Imagine
out.
people who haven't seen or haven't heard of God of War, then finding out about Zeus, and then finding out that he's Zeus's son, and then he killed Zeus.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The thing is,
And it's great because you don't need more context than that. That's like what is it?
Picture it.
God of War 4 could be like in TV version could literally be like the episode 4 that Star Wars was, right? That was the first movie that ever came out.
And then they can make a show
And
about
like
it after.
he already had in head like rough outlines of like whatever he thought like the prequels could be, let's say for example. But
Yeah.
it started with 4. You drop right in. It's actually like dropping into the middle of a story is I think like
100%.
one of the coolest like moves in
Listen,
storytelling. Like
yeah.
it's harder.
in the words of Michael Scott, keep it simple, stupid. Like it's literally that. There's a reason why it's popular, why it did well, why it's a famous game or a famous thing. It's because they enjoyed that. If you start changing shit and like it's not gonna work.
You need to change shit in the sense where you have to tweak certain
Tweak,
things.
not change. You adapt.
You add
Yeah.
you add layers to
Yeah.
the world.
Like an ogre.
Like it's hard when you like try to.
And
It's like Uncharted when they made the movie.
That
What
was
a
so bad.
shit movie. I'm sorry.
Was it? I
It
didn't
was
watch
so
it.
shit.
Literally the only
It's
like
the biggest piece
completely
of dog
accurate
shit.
good part of that movie
was the ending.
credits.
The end credits.
They got it. That last scene was great with Mark Wahlberg with the pedo stash and everything. Like it was fucking
and
great.
the dynamic is like, but we
worked.
wanted that the whole movie.
They cast.
Like-
Well, first of all, I think
Tom Holland's not
Tom
gonna
Holland
cast
should have
Okay.
been
What?
like I don't know. It was just weird. Like I don't know.
Like I don't mind Tom Holland being Nathan
Mark Wahlberg
Drake.
should have been Nathan Drake in my opinion. Like
I
there
think
was
that
no
would have
way-
been a better cast.
That would have been a better cast in my opinion. But
But I don't
What?
see Mark Wahlberg
No.
as Nathan Drake. But bro,
No,
he's
but
not a
that's-
Boston
whatever,
cop.
Doesn't matter. But like if
Drake from Boston.
they tried to either
Hey, I'm walking in.
they changed it and tried to mimic it to the point, and it just
It was
didn't
literally
work.
1, 2, 3
Yeah.
game, like shot per shot, like
Okay.
action sequences just put in the
They
movie.
kind of just were like threw everything together and
Yeah,
like,
so it's like, did you
whatever.
care like at all? Like honestly,
Like imagine
if
if
Drake
Kra-
got shot in that movie and he died. I don't care.
like
'Cause
imagine
I'm
if
not
Kra-
invested.
imagine if
yeah.
Kratos in the God of War movie he had to stop on the God of War show he had to stop every 10 minutes to beat up a bunch of Draugr. But it doesn't matter. Like the Draugr never should have come here.
Father, press square.
QTEs you have to click on your controller like on your TV remote to like,
Triangle boy.
anyways so
Well, I mean that's like okay, like the only games that I think they could 1-to-1 adapt
Resident
like
Evil,
line
they
to
could
line?
do so many good stuff.
the
bro.
Telltale games.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those
Yes.
are those are
Yeah,
deliberately
low-key. 'Cause
made
they're-
as basically interactive.
But they are only
shows.
like 4-5 hour games. Like they're
No,
not
they're
long,
long,
games.
bro.
They're not that
They're
long.
10 hours.
They're
They're
long.
about
Okay,
2
whatever.
hours?
10 hours.
10 hours.
You
2
make that
hours an
okay.
episode?
10 episodes, 1 hour each. Like it's
you could do a one
Yeah, there you go.
seasons of worth of episodes for that.
Yeah, and they already structure it.
and then
like,
you can and then
like,
based off that you can
episodically.
and then based and then
Based.
based on that you can just do
Based.
like seasons 1 2 or
100%, yeah.
like you can do season 2 3 4
Yeah, that would be
whatever
fun.
based off of that.
Like the Telltale Batman games.
But-
you
Wow.
could line for
Okay.
line adapt those, you know, and then I guess as a screenwriter, you just decide which, you know, like let's say
Question, though.
options or branches you take.
What if they made the show kind of like you know how Netflix does like the Telltale kind of thing, like you choose what happens next?
Yeah.
Would that work for Telltale like in the
Well,
show?
Well, no, because
Yeah,
then
I think TV is definitely gonna head into a more interactive route.
But there is
eventually in
shows
the
like that
future.
already in
Yeah.
like in Netflix.
But
How
interact-
many,
The
how many
kaleidoscope.
DVDs did you used to have where it was like they had branching paths
Yeah.
and you're there with the menu,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Back
Going
in the
hitting
day.
the keypad on the DVD remote, like
that would be
right?
annoying
So-
because your DVD remote is dog shit. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel,
Ballsy.
and yeah, if you guys have any thoughts and comments to make on the discussions that we had, which were a lot of very dilemma-based discussions, leave it in the comments. Tell us your thoughts. For now, we're just going to have a quick gig performance
Oh my god.
by our good friend Mr. Saro, who plays the guitar. He will be playing us the amazing intro music from The Last of Us. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. And as always, remember.
Gonna cry?